How does the millionaire mind work? What does it really take to be the best in your field? Is there a secret to success in life?
I aim for stuff so big that the dream is bigger than the fear.
If you help other people get what they want, you will get what you want.
The easiest thing I've ever done was to earn $1 million. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe it could happen to me.
If you want to have more, you have to become more. Success is not a doing process, it's a becoming process.
You start changing your mind. You start changing how you think. You start picking up new ideas and information. And I'm telling you, if you'll do that, your whole life will change. Don't do this any longer. Wish for a better wind. The key is to wish for the wisdom to set a better sail. Utilize whatever wind it blows to take you wherever you want to go. That is the philosophy I picked up at age 25, and it revolutionized my whole life.
This is Success Profiles, the interview show that features world-changing entrepreneurs, high achievers, experts, and more. Success Profiles was created and produced to inspire and empower you to greatness. If you want to be the best, learn from the best. Now, here's your host, Daniel Fazina.
Hello, friend, and welcome to Success Profiles. I am your host, Daniel Fazina. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with me. I got a show in store for you that I think is really going to inspire you and encourage you. And we got a great guest. But before we get to him, I want to remind you that you can find Success Profiles at facebook.com/Success Profiles. All the episodes are archived there. You can also find us on YouTube. Just do a search for Success Profiles Radio there, and you will find us there as well. Well, today's special guest is a Hollywood actor and stuntman. You may recognize him from such film franchises as the Men in Black series, Pirates of the Caribbean, and many more, including Knee High PI and a lot of different television shows as well. I have the privilege and honor of speaking to Mr. Martin Klebba on Success Profiles. Martin, thank you so much for joining us on Success Profiles. So great to see you.
You too, buddy. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I was very excited to be able to connect with your wife's cousin's husband, who told me about you, and I saw a little bit. I've seen you in films, and saw your IMDb and stuff, and just very excited to speak with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, maybe how you grew up and how you got into the acting profession?
Yeah, I grew up in a little city outside of Detroit called Troy, Michigan. I always had that bug to want to be. I was always trying to entertain people some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was more or less because I figured being little, instead of people, back in the 70s and 80s, instead of having people laugh at you, I'd rather have them laughing with me. So that was kind of a coping mechanism, I guess. And then I got into high school, and I took drama class, and I kept hearing everybody say, "Oh, the teacher, Miss Manfredi, she's like, she's gonna cast you in Peter Pan this year, and you're gonna be Tinkerbell." I'm like, "What?" So I'm like, "No," and then she did ask me to be in the play and stuff, but I ended up being Smee.
Okay.
So, and then after that, I got the bug to do musicals and stuff, and once I graduated out of high school, kind of floated around a little bit, and then I ended up in New York. I did the Christmas show at Radio City for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've seen that show. I probably saw you.
in the 90s, from 90 to 2000, yeah.
I think I must have seen you then, because I was there. I saw it a couple times.
Yeah, it was a great show, and I loved it. And at the same time, towards the end of the 90s, Madison Square Garden had bought Radio City, and they were coming out with a Broadway show, The Wizard of Oz, and they had Roseanne as the Wicked Witch.
Mm.
And, when she left, they recast it with Eartha Kitt and Mickey Rooney, and we went on tour for 2 years. And after that, it was like, you know what? All my little friends kept saying, "Nah, you don't want to move to LA. There's too much competition. You'll never work, blah, blah, blah." And finally, it was like 2000. I was like, you know what? I got to at least try it and see.
Sure.
Out here in the summer of 2000, and I've been here for 20 years, minus 3, because we moved back to Michigan in 2012 to have our little girl. And then after 3 winters, the wife was like, we're going to California.
I hear that.
A couple more, and then I think we're going to move to Tennessee.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I totally hear you. My wife said the same thing. We're up from New York and Connecticut, and we got hit with the polar vortex, and she's like, we need to go south, somewhere warmer. So we headed for Florida, but didn't make it that far. We ended up in Virginia. So that's
nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. That's where we are now. So Marty, you've got quite a resume, being in a lot of big films, both in acting roles and stunt roles. Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Men in Black, and so many more. I wanted to ask you, being a little person, do you think did that help you or hinder you in your acting career? I mean, sometimes people get typecast, but you have a kind of a specific niche that might maybe not as popular as a regular actor.
Right. Well,
speak to that?
You're right. It's both, because not all casting directors are willing to look outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a role will come out, it'll be 30s, 6 foot tall, and or black and whatever, or but they don't always leave it just open to where, hey, why not a little guy comes in and he's a doctor or he's a lawyer,
Right.
I mean, you get it every once in a while, but for the most part they still want Mr. Pretty or Mrs. Beautiful.
Right.
Obviously nobody signs up to look at, us hideous looking people on TV. Reality shows are usually better looking people. If you want to keep viewership and get advertisers to view, to pay for during your show. But I guess it's both. I mean, stunts is I like doing stunts. Maybe more than I like the acting. I mean, I love the acting, but everything I do that stunts usually ends up being a stunt and a acting, because they're like, oh, you're an actor too, so why don't we just write something up where while you're doing the stunt, you're have a role as well. So I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I'm one of the very few that can actually say that they all their own stunts. I mean, Tom Cruise says it, but it's not true. I mean, he has, I can name 3 or 4 stunt guys that do the really, really outlandish stuff, because
Right.
obviously, I mean, he's the head of a studio. I think I forget which one he bought or is the head of, but no matter what, you're not going to get insurance on a picture, or if your lead actor is, jumping on an airplane with no parachute.
Right. I know that was Jackie Chan used to do all of his own. I don't know if he still does.
Well, no, because I've worked with Jackie in Russia and in China.
Okay.
And, he does for the most part, but he still has a whole crew who comes in. They do it. They do everything, and then they leave him up basically now to the actor action.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you, what kind of what kind of person do you have to become a success in Hollywood? I mean, what kind of personality traits, or what do you think if someone watching right now who wants to make it in Hollywood, what advice would you give them?
Well, Daniel, I think you got to be you got to be outgoing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be able to get along well with others really well.
People skills.
I don't know if I get blackballed, but I was talking to you earlier about political things, and I don't know if that's hindered me, but I haven't worked a whole lot lately. But that's just because not just the pandemic, but it has to be there has to be something written out there for you or whatever. But if something big comes down the pipeline and it requires, a little person, you got Peter Dinklage, and then you got me, and you got Danny Woodburn or whatever, and Warwick Davis. There are a few guys out there, that are going to be brought in.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I guess keep your nose clean, or unless you're in the reality world and, 30 knows as best he can and be most flamboyant, out there, crazy dude, and you might succeed that way.
Okay. What about work ethic as far as like preparation for your roles, things like that?
Well, it's always good, obviously, to be, for your role to come in off book if you can. Obviously, if you're the lead, obviously you're not going to remember the whole script.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of tricks to the trade nowadays, and I didn't even know that on Pirates. But Johnny wears obviously the long hair and stuff, and he kind of borrowed a Marlon Brando thing, but Johnny wears an earpiece now, and so the script supervisor is reading him his lines while we're acting.
Wow.
So, and if you don't have hair covering your ears, you got to be on spot. But I mean, he also know a whole script, so he might actually kind of know it, but it helps to have it in his ear so that she can feed him the line, and he can worry about doing the character stuff and just properly. But you don't ever have second or third takes because of Johnny. It's right. Usually one of the rest of us that have done something, or just to the director wants to see something different, or have somebody say something in a different kind of context or whatever. But
wow,
yeah, I mean Marlon was like that. Marlon used to have his posted up on poster board and stuff behind the actors, and Sean Bean does that. I remember doing Mirror Mirror, and we didn't have the King till like towards the end of the shooting because they kept bringing people in and trying to offer them to do the role, X amount of money, whatever. And finally, Sean Bean came in, and then when we did it, it was like, you're making more than all of us, and yet we had to do this huge scene, and they had all these camera stands and huge poster boards with his lines up all over the place, so he could look off and then, look this way, for car 2 and read his lines. And it's like,
wow,
you're taking all that money, you're coming in, it kind of stole the magic a little bit for me.
I see. I wonder if they did that in Game of Thrones, because I thought he was really good in that, and Lord of the Rings as well. But who knows?
That's the kind of things I've heard, is that's his thing. And
I guess as long as it looks good on the film.
What's that?
I guess as long as it comes out good on the final product, right?
Yeah, when they're editing, you can't tell anything. So, who was it used to do Columbo? Peter Falk?
Peter Falk, yeah.
So when he used to do that thing where he would be looking down,
yeah,
thinking.
Did he have cue cards?
On the ground.
Oh wow.
That was one of the things. So like, he would be good, but if he needed to, he could always go to that and then look down, and then you wouldn't know, and there he would get his lines off. So
wow, very interesting. Can you tell us about your lead role in Knee High PI? How did that come to you, and what was that about?
Yeah, it was like I just got done doing Pirates. Yeah, Pirates 1, and I came home and I was working on Van Helsing, and then all of a sudden, while I was gone doing Pirates, they had been auditioning. This guy wrote this TV movie for Comedy Central called Knee High PI, and a big comedy, whatever. And the guy kept telling them, they brought in all these little people, and he kept saying, no, that's not who I'm looking for. And they ended up they ended up going with Peter Dinklage. And then I came back in town, and finally he was like, he used to be on Howard Stern. And then they got a hold of me and had me come in. And then I read for it, and then Comedy Central and the writer and the producers were all about me, and then the director still wanted to work with Peter Dinklage, because I think he had just came off of Station Agent, thing, and
that was like his breakout, I think.
Yeah, and the director was kind of a whatever. I don't have much good to say about him, so I won't cut him down, but he basically, it was funny. When I ended up doing it, and there's a lot of things that Peter wouldn't have been able to do. He would have had to bring in a stunt guy, so it would have cost him more money. And Peter's amazing actor. He's amazing, like Shakespearean and serious actor, but he's not, as far as like comedy, you're not going to see, like, he doesn't have the comedy chops. Gotcha. At least anything that I've seen him in, I'm just being like, and this was all comedy. It was all, playoff, whatever, and ended up doing it, and they moved me from, it was supposed to be on a Sunday night to a Monday night, and they moved it to a time slot. It was like, dude, how many people do you think I'm going to pull when you got CSI? There was The Bachelor, I think, was on at that time, and like 2 or 3 other shows that were all like huge Monday night things. I'm like, I think I'm going to, how many people do you think I'm going to get? So we had 8 million view, but they're like, oh, it wasn't enough, so, because later it was ready to go with, like, it was going to be a weekly thing, and and they hot, and they ended up, it just ended up just being the movie, and that was it. So
okay. Did you enjoyed it though?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. All right. Well, in the couple minutes we have left, can you tell us about your nonprofit, your advocacy group? It's called the Coalition for Dwarf Advocacy. What's that about?
CODA is a charity that both Matt Roloff and I started to help get. Basically, we do other things too, but it was basically to help get dwarf children adopted. Because, like, in third world countries like China and Russia and India and stuff like that, when you're born different, whether it's a little person or anything, you're put away because you bring shame to the family.
Right.
And look at you, you're not gonna be able to make money, so we need to have another kid and whatever. So you got all these kids that are like, all they want to do is have a family, be loved by somebody. Right. And we saw that one of the kids that we got adopted, he was here in California, and it was sad because his parents only came once a month to visit him. And basically, there was this older lady that was a volunteer there, and he basically looked at her like a grandma. And then finally, this family became aware of him, and the real mom and dad didn't want to like have to deal with the feeding tube, and he was basically bedridden. Now he walks. I think I know he's got to be like close to 21 now. His name is Chance, but they needed more money to in order to make the adoption go through, and so Matt and I both ponied up money out of our own accounts to help that couple, and we
beautiful.
got and we just like, there's more kids like this. Let's try to help as many. I mean, I could do it for blind. I could do it for all kinds of things, but since I'm little and I know what it's like to be little, and there's kids in China there'll be 2 of them. They'll be handcuffed together, and then one will be handcuffed to the crib so they can't crawl out of the crib.
Wow.
Or they'll turn the crib over upside down, basically like a cage. Can't get out. And it's like,
that's horrible. Wow.
Terrible.
Yeah.
We do what we can to help, and we've also given scholarships to dwarfs that are going into college and stuff like that to help them get on their way, and that kind of stuff. So
wonderful. Well, I appreciate the good work you're doing, and I want to say please keep it up. It was wonderful speaking to you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I want to thank you, Mr. Martin Klebba, for joining us on Success Profiles. Thank you so much.
Thank you, boss. Be great.
You too, man. You too.
Everybody, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Success Profiles with Daniel Fazzina. Join us next time as we bring you another empowering interview designed to help you achieve greatness here on Success Profiles.
Success Profiles is supported by FarewellMortgage.com. With FarewellMortgage.com, you can learn how to eliminate your home mortgage and replace it with a home equity line of credit. This can help you pay off your home years faster and save you thousands in mortgage interest. My wife and I said farewell to our mortgage and replaced it with a first lien HELOC, and now we're set to save 25 years and over $100,000 in mortgage interest. More information about this better way to finance real estate can be found at FarewellMortgage.com.